Hello, how are you? Yeah, I know. Hello, how are you? Yeah, I know. Okay, so that probably wasn't very helpful, kind of made you feel a little uncomfortable maybe. Um, but what, so it's not helpful to you, but what about for babies? Many people believe that baby talk is harmful, but what if I told you that not using baby talk could be harmful? The development in the first few years of a child's life lays the foundation for the rest of their life. Many of you will probably have your own children at some point, so it's really important to be educated. I chose this topic because I first discussed this in a child development course that I took at school last semester, and I was just super interested in it because I had heard so many different views of this topic, so I was just super interested in it early on. I researched various scientific studies and professional articles online to give me support for my speech. Okay, so first I'm going to be talking about how baby talk increases vocabulary. Then I'll talk about language, how it boosts language development. Then I'll explain how it helps with word association. So first, let's begin with how it increases vocabulary. A study was conducted by the University of Washington and University of Connecticut, and thousands of verbal exchanges between babies and adults were examined. They compared regular speaking voices versus exaggerated and animated sounds. When the babies were 2 years old, their parents filled out a questionnaire of how many words that their children knew. Infants who heard more baby talk knew more words. In the same study, the more the parents raised the pitch of their voice and exaggerated vowels, the more the babies babbled. So the key here is the quality of the language versus quantity. It doesn't matter how much you talk to your baby, but rather the tones and the pitches and the speed of the language you're using. What this study is adding is that how you talk to children matters. Parentese is much better at developing language than regular speech, and even better if it occurs in a one-on-one interaction, says Professor Ramirez Esparza, who was directing this study. Okay, so we talked about how it increases vocabulary. Now let's consider how it can boost language development in general. Okay, so talking to babies in general boosts their language development. First, because it sets them up for success in school. In several studies done, the differences in vocabulary and language processing skills can be observed as early as 18 months. Children whose parents spoke to them least came out worst in the language skill tests. And that handicap influenced how well they did in school over the next 6 years. It also helps them better understand the way that the world works. Chatting with infants helps them understand the rules and the rhythms of language early on. You need to start talking to them from day one, says Fernald, who is from the American Association for the Advancement of Science annual meeting in Chicago. You are building a mind that can conceptualize, that can think about the past and the future. Okay, so we talked about how speaking to babies in general boosts their development. Now let's consider how baby talk can help with learning about word association. So with normal speech, words and phrases kind of run together and it can be hard to separate each word, especially for people who are non-native to that language. Baby talk helps to differentiate words and find patterns. So with the phrase, here's an example, with the phrase, mama is happy, it can have many possibilities of sounds like ma is zappy to a non-English speaker. Hearing phrases repeated can help babies find patterns and figure out what sounds pair together more often than others. So example, is zap gets paired less often with happy. In a recent study, English-speaking adults listening to Mandarin were able to pick out new words more often when the speaker was using infant-directed speech. Also, baby talk is effective because it is an attention grabber. When babies pay more attention, they're more likely to notice speech patterns. In another study done, eye contact along with baby talk is more effective and enhances brain activity in regions associated with processing auditory messages. Similar attempts using that adult speech had no effect. Baby talk has a more positive effect on child development than adult-directed speech. It increases vocabulary, it boosts language development, and it helps discover word associations and grammatical rhythms. It's not just talk, talk, talk at the child. It's more important to work toward interaction and engagement around the language. You want to engage the infant and get the baby to babble back. The more you get that serve and volley going, the more language advances, says Patricia Kuhl, who is a co-director of the Institute for Learning and Brain Sciences at the University of Washington. I hope you learned a little bit more about baby talk today. Thank you.